And now is Talkin Indie with Sandy Marie.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Talkin Indie. Today we have Shawn Spencer, and we're here to talk about Wolf Creek, which is a game currently on Kickstarter at the moment. How are you doing today, Shawn?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm getting there. It's still early in the morning for me, but yeah. I got coffee. I'm good. Okay, we'll start off with the first question I ask everyone. How did you get started with game development?
Well, it's there's always things I wanted to do in my life. There's like a bucket list I have. It was either get a game made or write a book, one of the two. I wanted to go big, so I tried to go with the first option, try to get a game made. My goal.
Hey, you're doing this as a solo developer. How does doing this as a solo dev compare to being part of a small team? And if you were part of a small team, do you think you would prefer it?
Well, this is I've never done this before, so I would imagine that working by yourself is harder because you got all the you're doing it all on your own, which takes longer. Um, Being on a team, I would imagine you have that group support and you have everybody there to help you out and back you up. So I'd imagine it'd be a lot, really.
I think there's pros and cons to both. Like, for example, as a solo developer, you've got full creative control. Um, yeah, it's a lot more work and all of that stuff, but all the decisions are you, all the liability. The liability is on you, but all the decisions are yours to make. That can sometimes be a bit tricky in a team environment. So yeah, I find that there are definitely pros and cons to both. So for someone who has never heard of Camp Wolf Creek, give us a brief description about what it is.
Okay, something short. I would say if you ever seen, um, the Evil Dead movies, think of Evil Dead and put that together with Harry Potter and Friday the 13th, and you got about the simplest. If you can imagine all three of those together, it's probably what.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm personally a Harry Potter fan, so that definitely does sound interesting to me. I can't, I've never seen Evil Dead, or Friday the 13th, but I get Final Fantasy, Friday the 13th references. Originally, this is more of an Aussie thing. When I heard when I first saw the name Camp Wolf Creek, it brought me back to it's a very cult movie thing here in Australia. There's a series of horror movies and even a television show based around this. You've got I think he's a cannibal, lives out in the middle of the outback, and pretty much kills tourists. And it's the movie and the series is all called Wolf Creek. So that's what that originally reminded me of the first time I saw it.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I looked that up on YouTube to see if there was any other names that were, close to mine, and I did see those movies. I think there's two of them, maybe three. But I saw that, and I think they're actually called Wolf. Wolf.
Yeah, the movies are just called Wolf Creek. But yeah, it's originally what I thought of when I saw it, but that's coming from an Aussie. That wouldn't necessarily be the case for non-Aussies. It's a very culty, everyone's heard of it type thing here in Australia. Okay.
It's still a really.
Yeah, go on.
They said it was a really a kind of a really scary movie, like a lot of violence in it, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually
I'll have
one
to
of the
go
few
check it
horror
out. I've never
movies
seen
I've
it.
seen. Like, if you do get a chance to watch them, I would. They're good.
Okay.
Like, particularly if you like the horror movie genre. Okay. What inspired you to make Camp Wolf Creek?
I was going through a lot of issues going around 12, 13 years ago or so, and I needed something really to get the tension off my mind. So I started writing, and I would write to keep my mind clear, and it was kind of just this is something to get my mind off of. So, but eventually, after writing over and over again, I kind of liked what I was writing, and it built to eventually writing a script, and I got kind of serious with it, and it was uh, crossing things off, rewriting. You know, it was constantly messing up all the time, and until I found something I liked, enjoyed. So then I stuck with that,
Yeah, that's normally the
and
process with
then
writing. You've got a lot of
yeah,
you do a lot of writing stuff, crossing stuff off, rewriting something, deciding you liked what
mhm.
you wrote the first time better. It's a very long process.
And it took me a long time to get where I'm at today. Just and I haven't even finished it yet. Really, I've the demo script's done, but the actual game script's not done yet. And I'm kind of towards the end of it, but I haven't really gotten to finishing it yet. Kind of busy. But my kids have really been the inspiration for continuing to uh, to go through with it and finish it.
How do they inspire you?
They just wanting to do better for them, wanting to show them that never quit, that hard work does pay off. To kind of show them that they keep working at something they're serious about, to show them, to inspire them really.
Yeah, as a parent, I do. I totally get that. Okay, in terms of storyline, like without obvious spoilers and stuff like that, what can you tell us about Camp Wolf Creek?
Oh Lord. Okay, so you got these. If you've seen Harry Potter, the Dementors from Harry Potter is what similarity are with the kind of look something like that. So if you got these five Reapers, and of course through every book and every game, past, present. So the present time, which is where the game is set at, is these Reapers have already been stuck inside this book for a decade, and upon accident, um, this uh, guy named Robert Lee accidentally stumbles across this book and reads a passage out of the book, which refers into the world, and they are um, one's got the power over death. He can raise the dead. One's got power over fire to control fire. One can control the water. One can control electricity. One can control, I think, the wind. And they are after one thing in particular, and they um, I can't really get into that. It's kind of hard not to spoil too much, but they're after a certain thing because they can, if this certain thing is around, uh, they can be destroyed. So they're after what is to destroy them. So then one of the kids that's at the camp gets kidnapped by these reapers, or taken, um, and your character in the game, they are after the girl to save the girl to destroy the reaper for good. That's really there's a lot to it really. Um, they're okay. So take like the Resident Evil aspect of the game where like destroy boxes to find goods like the hell stuff. In my game, there are sleeping bags that scattered throughout because I wanted to. So in these sleeping bags, there's kind of the same idea. There's health, there's ammo, there is what I call a solid fragment, and these solids and fragments are pieces that's from the Imperial Stone that was destroyed, scattered throughout. So when you find a fragment, that is equal to XP. So, and then your solids is what boosts up your ability. Um, Now, as you're using like your different abilities, they will decrease. Finding these solids will uh, back to the full power. So, um, there's a lot of okay. So, like you got your not just your reapers, you also have your heathens too. That's risen from the dead by the death, and the death reaper can rise death heathen, a fire heathen, a water heathen, electric heathen, and a wind heathen. And each heathen has their own different abilities, and you have to kill them a certain. So where you go through and like you're finding like in drawers different ammunition. You have like your regular base ammunition, then you have like your water. If you're wanting to kill these uh, fire heathens, you got to put the fire out first. So you would use a water ammunition, shoot at them to put the fire out, and then you can use regular ammunition like a melee attack. There's a lot of close in quarter contact. If they get too close to you, they can grab you, and the camera will fall you to the ground, and they can fire heathen. They can catch fire and burn you, and your health will diminish. And then like you like will have to push certain buttons to them off of you, like a mace, square button or X, PlayStation here on the screen, and then you'll grab your knife and stab. You'll roll, stand back up, start. Um, so you're dealing with the elements quite a bit in this game. So there's different scenarios where um, you're playing with the elements. And, so that's really all I can really say about. I can tell you much more, but I don't want.
Yeah, so Robert Lee, I'm getting Asian vibes of that. It's not very often you see an Asian character in a as basically the lead protagonist in a video game.
Mm. Yeah. So okay, my whole thesis on that is that in most video games it's all Caucasian. So I didn't want to kind of follow that. I wanted to go kind of more toward being open with races of the characters. So I actually have a female that's African American, and I got the lead role character, Lee, which is after my cousin's side, because I have Asian
Yeah,
kind
so
of
you
modeled him.
so like you were going for an inclusive, diverse cast essentially.
Yeah, I didn't want to keep it, all Caucasian people. I want to change it up a little bit because of diversity.
Yeah, you went kind of into that in the last question, but what can we expect in terms of gameplay? Like you gave hints towards it being a shooter of some sort.
Yeah, if you can imagine really, if you played on Uncharted, if you can imagine the feel of that game and how that's played out, it's kind of similar to that. I mean, you really can't get too much different. The camera angle from the camera to the character is about the same. The jumping, the climbing, the swinging aspect, it's all similar. Um, in the demo itself, you're in this wooded, and you have to. There's tree houses that's scattered throughout the woods, and then you have to climb the trees to go into the tree house to find uh, open drawers up to find, and you're kind of elevated kind of high in the air. So to go from one treehouse to the next, you may have to swing from a branch to branch to get to the next platform, and then walking planks that may break and fall, and then kind of catching yourself onto the platform, sliding over, jumping to the next tree, things like that. There's um, the heathens rise out of the ground. So when you're like in an open area, you may come to a scene where the Death Reaper will raise them out, and then you have to fight them before you can proceed further. Uh, the whole sandbox style, you know, aspect, what my game is, it's like I would say more like Evil Within, really, because the first Evil, you have the town that he's in, and you can't go past the town setting. You can only stay within the town. So it's kind of like it's not open world like Red Dead Redemption, but it's more like you can only go certain. Uh,
So it's linear, but encouraging exploration.
yeah, there's some linear aspects to it, being like when you get to certain points of the game, not in the demo itself. The demo itself is all, but once you get past the demo, and you will eventually a underground coal mine, and you end up in the cave, and that's more of the linear aspect. You're walking through these tunnels, only able to go in certain directions, like Resident. You're on a linear, like a line, going in certain directions to go in.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the Kickstarter. I wasn't talking to you, Sarah. What are your goals for the Kickstarter?
What was the question?
Uh, about the Kickstarter. What are your goals?
Oh, okay. Well, the developer that I'm currently working with right now, gave me a certain. They wanted between 160 to 260,000, which is what I'm trying to raise, but I have to also tax merchandise and ship all that, which equals out, I guess, estimated around 300,000. So uh, I think the fees and shipping and handling comes out to about 30 or 40,000, uh, which leaves about 100 grand left over for merchandise, and then whatever's left over from merchandise develop. My ultimate goal really is to raise the money so I can give it to the developer so he can start making. Once the um, once he actually has the money, then it takes a year to get the game in, and then they have testing on the game, and I think it's like a $10,000 fee to put on PlayStation 4, X, Switch, but I think it's going to be added total total amount that I'm. So it'll be available free download.
Is there any plans to put it onto like Steam?
I can go that route, yeah, for sure. But I wasn't really planning on doing that. I was wanting to go to the route, but I could.
Yeah, because to like put it on Steam and stuff like that, it's a lot more affordable than trying to put it on PlayStation and stuff like that. I think to list your game on Steam, I think it's $100 to put it on Steam, as opposed to like,
Oh wow, it's a big.
yeah, it's a big difference.
Okay.
Okay, what sort of bonuses do you have for supporters of the Kickstarter?
I have a handful of them. I got like I'm gonna have a clothing pack that you can um if you wanted your character outfits, it's up. I have uh, different merchandises. I have shirt, I have watches, I have like pen, uh, Padfolio. I have you can get like if you want the credits, it's a pretty cool option. You get credits. Um, you can have since you're in a wooded setting in the game, you're a tree. So in that wooded area in the game is a clear water, so you clear water mask. All these killed come in and put memorabilia of their family that died, area. So I have an option if you want You can carpentry on a certain tree in the game. If you find all 10 trees that's got name carvings in it, it's a in-game reward for that. You can get yeah, in the game, like in certain tree house and certain cabins that you go into, you, your spouse, or your loved whatever, on the wall or something. I got uh, it's called an access armory, I think is what I titled it. But in the game, you start out with a regular 9mm, and uh, you go throughout the whole demo with that gun. And if you acquire enough money, then you can purchase new weapons. But I locked that armor, so you can't purchase those weapons unless reward. Then you have armor, you purchase all the like. Um, Another one, and then uh, there's another one too. Um, I can't think of them right now. There's like one or two left that I forgot.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm pretty sure we've got an idea of what's the go. In terms of Kickstarter, should the event happen that you don't make your goal on Kickstarter, do you have a backup plan?
I do. I have a couple. If I don't reach my funds on Kickstarter, I am planning on possibly develop something myself. Would take a little bit, being limited time that I have, but I'm also possibly thinking about going the book route, script it all to book form, try to get a book published instead.
You could
Or
do
maybe a board
You could
game.
do both. Get the book published while you work on the game and tie them both in together. Like,
Or just do both. Yeah, like that for sure.
yeah, and like it's a learning curve, but it's fairly easy. Like, you've got YouTube tutorials galore and stuff like Unity and Unreal Engine, and the licensing in regards to those is both very, very reasonable. So, in terms of characters, do you have a favorite character from the game and why?
Well, the main character Robert's probably my favorite. There's a second character. His name's David Wolf. He actually is the groundskeeper of the realm that you get. Secret, a different secret, and he actually the groundskeeper of that realm. So he's too. But Robert's story is quite an extraordinary story. There's a lot of stuff that he goes. It's pretty cool, really. I mean, I don't really can't really say. I want to say it, but I can't.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil too much, and I wouldn't want you to.
Yeah, there's like, I went, I went into history books. There's like a certain thing that happened in history that I took from that and kind of made it my own. I put story, which it turns out pretty cool, and I think that you read it or play it, one of the two, it's pretty. So I'm really excited for people to see that. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't say nothing about it because it's kind of like one of the most exciting parts about the game is kind of witnessing what's really going on, because you don't know what's going on. You think.
Yeah, it's finding out like the story is the big spoiler territory of it, and like
you're deceived quite a bit.
and like the twists and stuff.
There's a big twist towards the end.
Yeah, there normally is. Where did you draw the inspiration for your characters? Like,
Okay, we touched base of this a little bit. Robert, the main character, I acquired a cousin side, so I kind of took, the Asian side of it. I made it based on the character off of that. Now the Emma, the girl that you're after to get, she is based off of my oldest daughter. I was making the game, you know, she was about, she kind of had similar hair, her looks like kind of mocked Emma off my oldest. Jessica, who your partner is, I kind of, just I made something up. She, my first crush in elementary school, like the long blonde hair. I kind of took it off, her hair off of that.
so you drew
That's really about it.
inspiration from people you knew in real life.
Yeah, they're inspirations of people that I've met or that are.
You said the
It's
inspiration.
all really.
Oh,
Go
keep
ahead.
going. You can keep going. Very good.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so like this whole game really is all really about things that happen in my life. This touches of things that I experiences I've in life, put it into the game. This certain. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. You've said that the Reapers are essentially inspired by the Dementors in Harry Potter. I'm also getting
Yeah.
Ring Wraith from Lord of the Rings vibes. Was there any influence there
Yeah.
as well?
Okay. Yeah. I see that. Yeah. Um, they, when they fly off, they can fly pretty fast, and then they leave a smoke trail. I can't tell you what they look like underneath the cloak, but they have a certain look to them on underneath the cloak. Uh, they can geoleap. They can geoleap into you. They all have uh, their own weapons. The Death Reaper has a Sith on a chain, and the Fire Reaper holds two axes, and Wind Reaper holds a boomerangs. The Electric Reaper holds a whip that has electricity going through it, and the Water Reaper holds a what's his weapons called? Like oh,
Polearm?
that it's a long spear with the three little.
Oh, Trident.
Yeah, the Water Reaper.
Yeah, Trident.
Tried it. Yeah, that's what I kind of knew that.
Yeah, like I was as you're describing, I was trying to picture it in my head to try and work it out. So, has working on Camp Wolf Creek taught you anything that you would otherwise not have known?
Oh, it's for sure. This game has been a journey. It's been really kind of tough getting to where I'm at right now. It's not easy. You got to develop a following, and that's probably one of the hardest. Anybody can write a story, but trying to find people that like it, that's tough. So it's trying to get people to understand where you're coming from, and to like understand what you're talking about, and believe in your game or your book, whatever it is you're creating, as much as you. That's probably the toughest part for me, is just to see what I'm seeing and understand that what what I'm writing is going to be great. So that's probably my tough part of it.
Yeah, it's trying to find people who believe in your vision as much as you do. And yeah,
Yeah.
that can be quite
It's hard
difficult.
to persuade that, to
Yeah, and for like people who aren't used to like marketing and networking, a lot of that stuff can be quite tricky for people like first timers and stuff like that. Like even for people like myself, I actually have I have business qualifications, and they taught me networking and stuff as part of that. But the networking they taught me was completely different to the networking that you have to do in terms of like in terms of streaming and podcasting and game development. It's a completely different kind of networking, because the networking you're trying to do in regards to that type of thing is you're trying to appeal to like it's not a like in business, like you'd be networking to say like, okay, I'll do this for your company, you do this for my company. That's essentially what you're doing from a business perspective in networking that way. But it works differently in a streaming game dev capacity. Like it's more on a getting to know people without the expectation that they're going to support you. Like trying to make friends and that type of thing, or like in terms of streaming and game development, you tend to follow and be followed by people in the same doing the same thing as you, which makes it like even more complicated.
Because it's a smaller crowd.
Yeah. So like when ideally, yeah, you want to be followed by like people like gamers and stuff like that, which can happen. You just gotta get out there and network and stuff like that. But you find, especially starting, like a lot of them are game developers or people in the same area as you, because and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Being and having a group of like game dev friends and followers and people you follow can be beneficial, because you learn stuff from them, they learn stuff from you, like, and yeah, and it's just like good to see what others are doing and stuff. Like I find that very I quite like that myself.
It's inspirational watching other people, what their projects are and how they're doing. It's a good sight to see, people watching seed prosper, create pretty.
Yeah, and like you definitely see things that make you go, oh, I didn't know you could do that with this engine, or and that type of thing, or even like if you're trying to get something done on your engine and you can't get something's going wrong, you can't quite work it out. It's handy too, because you could just post, hey, I'm trying to do this, but this keeps happening. Any tips on how to fix it? Chances are someone knows, which is always a beneficial thing. Because I know when I was...
Absolutely. Internet's amazing, so and if you run around any problems at all, somebody can help you out, so that makes it a lot.
Yeah, because I know when I was when I first started dabbling, I was trying to make, like, it was something as simple as I was trying to make grass and I was trying to make it move, and I kept having problems with, like, I got the grass and it looked like grass, I just couldn't get it to move. And when I finally did get it to like move, it changed the texture and it went all weird. So it was something I ended up posting about and getting some help with in there, and that and eventually, I managed to make grass and I was very proud of myself.
And it now moves or...
Yeah, it's amazing, like, just how much, like, little progress in something, like, that you, particularly if it's something you haven't done before, like, just how that can lift you up and, like, keep you motivated to do things.
No, absolutely.
Well, think of it. Speaking of motivation, how do you stay motivated?
Hello.
Yep. Can you hear me?
There you go. Thought I lost you there for a second.
What keeps you
You made
motivated?
a weird noise and then everything quit.
Yep. So what keeps you motivated when you on those days where you're just like, oh, I can't be bothered. I'm not feeling it.
Well, it's really looking back to where I started at and how far off I was then. Where it's just I'm just too determined to do into it to be. Anytime that I feel like I'm failing, I just which is sometimes I feel like when I get to that point, I just realize I just keep trucking along. I'll find something else, to have something else to do to succeed in it and help. I'll eventually get there. I know I'll get.
Yeah, and you've hit the point in it
Too in
where
a big hurry.
you've hit the point in it where it's kind of at the point where you're too far into it to just like give up. And
I put a lot. I mean, my own money. I mean, I'm not a rich person, but I put quite a bit of money, my own money, into it. I don't want to just quit. And all the writing I did and all the time I quit, put all away, wasted all that for nothing. So I'm gonna stick with it and do what I can with it until I do something, and it will.
yeah, you just keep trudging on. You keep grinding things out and you just keep trying until you succeed, pretty much.
Exactly.
Okay, in terms of um, indie games themselves seem to be becoming more popular. There is a rise in indie game developers and people delving into making their own games. What are your theories? What do you think this might be?
Well, there's a lot of people out there, people that have good imaginations, and there's people out there that everybody can develop. Have, I'm talking about a big. Everybody can for Naughty Dog, so they have to come up with their own solution and learn how to program and develop themselves to showcase their idea. I think more people will be inspired to show what their story is because now it's available to do it.
Yeah, and we're at a stage where pretty much anyone could wake up one day and go, I think I want to make a video game. And then just look up YouTube tutorials and be able to make a video game, essentially. So the information's out there, and you've got some amazing free game engines like Unity and Unreal Engine, which don't cost you anything to use. There is licensing, but essentially it's free. Like, for example, if you take Unreal, Epic, which is obviously the company that owns Unreal, they don't take any money from you until you've made a certain amount in the game, from the game. And then once you hit that threshold of how much you make, then they take 5% of your profits. That's how they make their money off Unreal. But I find that even that licensing is still pretty good. Whereas Unity is a similar thing. You've got a free version, a standard version, and a deluxe version. They're all pretty much the same, but what you pay depends on how much you're making. So, like, unless you're making a good chunk, you're not having to pay like $250 a year to use it, for example. I'm not sure on the exact costs, but that's the gist with Unity. Like, you don't pay unless you're making enough to fall under the threshold to need to pay that much, but for it, for the licensing for it. So, like, and there's stuff out there. So it's at a case where, like, it's doable for pretty much anyone these days.
That's something I definitely might look into. If I don't do well on this Kickstarter, I may try to download that. What I can do with that might be next step.
Yeah.
That sounds.
I can give you the details for a couple of YouTube channels that I've watched in regards to that are just like they go through. There's one in particular that when I first started, I watched all the way through. Basically, it was step by step how to make like essentially, it was making a scene like it was kind of you had mountains in the background of the setting, and then you had like the grass, trees, like tree foresty type thing. Taught you how to make grass, how to add textures to a cabin. It taught you how to make a light flicker in the cabin window, and how to make fire and all of that type of stuff. It went right from the nitty gritty of just getting it set up to having a full, just a full environment that you could essentially just walk through. I can definitely pass on that, like that channel, but I found that channel to be absolutely amazing when I was starting out there. But if you could work for a big game company, would you? And if you could choose, who would you choose?
Oh yeah, I would have to choose Naughty Dog for sure because they've made favorite games: Uncharted, uh, The Last of Us 1 and 2. 3 of my favorites.
There's Naughty.
Second would be Bethesda, and third.
Naughty Dog did Crash Bandicoot too, didn't they? Or am I thinking of someone else?
They made. I think that was the first big one they made. They made that back.
Oh, that was 90s. That was 90s. That was a long time ago.
One, I think.
Yeah, PlayStation 1, because it was that and Spyro the Dragon were like a couple of the first video games I picked up back in the day. Speaking of games, are you a gamer yourself, and what are your favorite games?
What was the first part again?
Do you consider yourself a gamer?
Oh, yeah. Well, not no more really, because I've been, I've kind of been the husband and the dad role, so all that stuff. I really haven't sat down and played it probably in over a year, a while, but because I'm morally focused besides my family, right? So, but I do consider myself a gamer. I love the time and place. Something since I was 5 years old and Nintendo, or since then. But yeah, I would consider.
And favorite games?
My ultimate favorite series is Resident Evil. I've played every one of them. I'm 11, 12 years old, I think, when Resident Evil 2 came out, the PlayStation, and I played that over and over. I love every single Resident Evil. Besides Resident Evil, Evil Within, I like that. Uncharted, Last of Us 1 and I can't wait for part 2. Just Cause. I like Just Cause. Fortnite's pretty cool. Games like that. I'm more into a third. I don't really like.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of them are like third person adventure shooter type games. Sure.
Yeah, with the storyline with it.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with them. Like I haven't played them mostly because I can't shoot. I can't shoot for the life of me. And when I can shoot, I find first person shooters just a little bit easier. But okay. Are you working on anything else that you're willing to share, or is it just Camp Wolf Creek at the moment?
Right. It's just I'm trying to get something done with it. I am okay. My plans is it's going to be a 3-part book or a 3-part. So if how successful this one will determine. So the first game is roughly about what presently. The second game goes past on what happened, what created the Reapers, what made why Camp Wolf Creek is the way it is now, how they got put in the book. It goes into that, a lot of the past stuff, and then the third game is going to be of what's going on, about how things are going to end, and then how everybody's future. That's what my goal. But we'll see how this first one does first.
Okay, well that's my questions done. So I'm going to open the thing for viewers' questions. And in the meantime, while we wait for any possible viewers' questions, this is your opportunity to plug anything you want to plug. You can be pretty much as selfish as you want. Sit there and say, follow me, must follow me. It's like plug your social media, plug your Kickstarter. Yeah, plug anything you want. This is your opportunity to do so. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you will find all of the links and stuff here that are about to be linked. You'll find them down in the description below. You still there or did you cut out?
Hello? You still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. You're kind of in and out a little bit.
Am I? Okay. Yeah, so as I was saying, this is your opportunity to plug what you want to plug here.
You talking to me or to everybody else?
Talking to you.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what. You talk about like my Twitter, Facebook, and all that.
Yeah, if you've got the stream open, you can like post them in chat. If not, I can copy paste potentially.
We're off air, and we're.
Okay, I'm copying them myself. It's all good.
Yeah, because I don't. I'm lost. I'm sorry. I don't.
Okay, so I've linked the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Instagram in chat. And if you're interested in the Kickstarter, that's the Kickstarter there. But it does not look like we have any viewers' questions, which sometimes is the case. It's not necessarily a bad thing. So this is where we will leave things. This will be up on YouTube in a couple of days. But anyway, thank you, Shawn, for coming on and talking about Wolf Creek. I wish you all the success on the Kickstarter. Hopefully you meet your goal, but if not, it sounds like you have some pretty solid backup plans in place. And yeah, as we say, just like gotta keep trucking on and doing what we can if we want to achieve our dreams, pretty much.
Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work, but we'll get there.
Yeah. But for anyone who stopped by, thank you so much for joining us. I will see you next week on Talking Indie. There's a bit of a change in time. It will be taking place 5 p.m. on Saturday night instead of Sunday, New York time. Simply because I have to be somewhere on Monday and I can't. So I've had to switch things around. We will be talking to the dev team behind the mobile game Enter the Reveries on the next Talking Indie. But with that, thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys, this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, depending on where you are. Much love to you.